Hello and welcome to another edition of Convict Inc. I'm your host, Robert Rosso, and tonight I'm going to be talking about getting married in federal prison. Most of you have heard about inmates getting married in prison. Famous inmates, usually people on death row. You got the Menendez brother. You had Jodi Arias in Texas, who was married to her pastor before being sentenced to death, and on and on and on. But what we often are not told, or people don't really understand, is the process in which inmates have to go through and their spouses in order to get married. So I'm specifically going to be talking about how to get married in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. So first of all, there's a program statement that is PS 5326.05. That's Bureau of Prisons program statement, and it outlines how to get married. The first thing you have to do is you have to write a request to the warden. You have to outline that you want to get married and the reasons why you want to get married, and the warden then forwards that information to the unit team. The unit team, which consists of a counselor and a case manager, it's primarily the case manager's job, will then do a background check, make sure that security or SIS approves the marriage, make sure that you are divorced. We'll ask you to have papers sent in from the courthouse saying that you are divorced or never previously been married. But first, actually, this process all starts with the inmate visitation list. Because in the past, so many people were marrying girls that were just bringing them in contraband, or marrying people for reasons that were not pure, I guess you would say. The Bureau of Prisons started implementing policies where in order to get a visit, you have to have a visit request filled out, and you're supposed to know that that potential visitor prior to your incarceration. Now, this is not a definite, but in most cases, they want you to have known the person that's requesting to visit prior to incarceration. Now, there are counselors that never pay attention because all visit slips are sent from the inmate to the street. The potential visitor will then fill out the paperwork, and then they send it in to the inmate's counselor. Or nowadays you can get it online. You know, I started doing time before online, so we had to mail any visitation forms out. Nowadays you can just go click and the person on the street can do it. It's a form you have to submit under the penalty of perjury, swear to it. If you're caught up in any kind of a lie and you have a thorough counselor, they're going to find it and you're going to be hit. But as I was saying, there's a lot of counselors that are just real lazy or don't care, or who are cool, and they will just approve anybody. They're not going to even do any background checks on the visitor. In my case, in 2010, I began corresponding with a Spanish citizen. We had a long correspondence. Some of you know about this story. About 3-4 years into this correspondence, our feelings began to change. And basically what had happened was I had a chance to get out because I had family members who knew somebody who knew Obama, and it looked like it was a given that I was going to get out. And at that point, my pen pal declared her feelings for me, and I in return admitted that I had feelings for her as well. So then we were left with a little bit of a dilemma here, because my pen pal, Marta, I didn't know prior to incarceration. And in fact, when I went to prison, she was 11. So we didn't really know her. Now, there was different things we could have made up. That is, my family knew her family, and that she had visited my family when she came to New York back in the day, yada, yada, and could have got away with it. But the truth is, I have, my pen pal was a real honest person. And although I breached the subject or broached the subject, that's not how it went. So what I ultimately did is I just went to my counselor and I said, hey, listen, I got a girl that I've been writing for a while. She's going to fly out here, and she's going to come to see me, and we can just do this special approved visit. You know, we don't even have to, doesn't even have to be a permanent visitation slip. Let's just, can you allow me a special visit? Well, the counselor, who was cool, and I was an orderly at the time, I think, but I had a good rapport with her. She went ahead and just said, have her fill it out truthfully and mail it in. And that's what Marta did. It says on our visitation slip, we had no prior contact before incarceration, and it flew through just fine. Our first visit, she came out for 3 weeks. So I think there was like a total of 10, 11 visits because we had a holiday in there, and then we got a special visit because she was in the States for 3 weeks. And during that last visit, I proposed to her. Now, again, we thought I was going to get out, and I absolutely thought I was going to get out before Obama left office. I was basically told this. And then some things happened with the person that I knew who knew Obama. They had a falling out. And when Obama left office on January the 19th, 2017, I was left in there. At that point, there was a decision to be made, and me and my now fiance had come to the agreement that it would probably be best for us to split it off. I didn't know when I was going to get out. She's a lot younger than me, and it was hard for me at the time to really deal with that situation. How can I let somebody like her sit around and wait for a guy like me to see on the hope that I was going to get out? And the truth is, for about 4 months, we did split up. We talked, but we did. And there came a point to where I just said, hey, listen, I don't want to lose you. I actually went and talked to a psychologist. First time I ever talked to a psychologist. And the psychologist opened up my eyes, and she said, listen, I understand how you feel, but the way she feels is if she wants to wait for you, if she wants to try to see if you're going to get out, this is on her. And that's what I did. So when I got a hold of Marta, I said, listen, this is our options. We can keep doing this. We can split up, or we can get married. Why don't we go ahead and put in for this marriage thing right now? You come out here and you stay right here in Terre Haute. You live here beside me. And for the next few years, you come up to visit me on the weekends. And I think that'll help our relationship out a lot, because we were hitting a path to where there was nowhere else to go. And sure enough, that's what we did. So I had to go get forms from my counselor. From my case manager. And we submitted the forms just as we were told per policy, did it through the warden. The warden then directed my unit team to do it, which was my case manager. And the next problem we ran into was a time frame. The Bureau of Prisons only allows inmates to get married twice a year. That's June and December. The first time we tried, we were a little late, so we had to wait for the December wedding. In Terre Haute, we searched for pastors, ministers, or whatever, and we found a lady by the name of Lori Bradley. Lori Bradley is a minister. She does a lot of weddings. She's familiar with the system. And I would highly recommend that if anybody was getting married in Terre Haute, that they find Lori Bradley. Great. She made all the difference. On December 7th, 2017, Marta flew in from Spain, and we got married right inside the visitation room at FCI Terre Haute. Now, when we got married, I lived with the cameraman in the unit, and the people there was no visitors or family allowed to attend. There was the chaplain, there was the minister, and there was me and Marta. I brought the cameraman with me because I wanted to take pictures. And sure enough, the Chaplain Woods, he let us take photos, and we took a bunch of photos. And the whole time limit we were out there, we got to spend about 10 minutes before the wedding and about 20 minutes after. So it was about a half hour total, a little bit longer, that we got to spend out in the visitation room together. Anyway, the ceremony ended up being really awesome because of Lori. Our vows, which we did, but Lori said everything was just awesome. Really, for getting married in prison, it was freaking fantastic. So anyway, Marta and I got married, and then we started the immigration process, which is a whole different story. We actually thought she was going to be out within a year. We were looking for jobs for her in the Terre Haute area, and it dragged on. First, you have to get a financial sponsor. If you're not illegal. If you're not a citizen, you have to get a sponsor. And our sponsor was originally my parents, who ultimately they said we're too old to sponsor her. When we started getting other sponsors or looking for other sponsors, COVID hit. So this was over, a year to get denied, or a year or so to be told that we have to have a different sponsor. Actually, it's closer to 2 years. And then COVID hit. And I'll tell you what, COVID, they took away visitation in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Now it's on some modified schedule to where you can go out in the visitation room for X amount of time, half hour, 2 hours, depending on where the family comes from. And the visitation was, there was a shower curtain in between us and the visitors, and that just wasn't gonna fly. So, and then Europe, Marta was in Europe, and we ended up not being able to see each other because she couldn't fly, because we had restrictions here, or they had restrictions there, we needed COVID shots. It just became a mess. And fortunately for me, on April the 13th, 2021, I was released under compassionate release. The laws changed in 2018 under the First Step Act. One of the changes in the laws had to do with the compassionate release statute. And I filed a pro se motion. I did it by myself. And I just threw the kitchen sink at the judge. I've had recurring bladder cancer. I've had a heart condition. I've rehabilitated. And the sentence I was serving, which was mandatory life without parole, no longer exists in the federal statute. It has been reduced to mandatory 25 years. That is, if you have 2 or more serious prior felony drug convictions, you are eligible for a mandatory minimum 25 years. When I got sentenced in 97, it was 2 or more. Any drug conviction, I don't care if it was a freaking misdemeanor, they can give you life without the possibility of release. Having said that, to this day, Congress has not made that statute retroactive, which means there's 3,000 guys that were just like me that's still stuck in there, only they didn't get out on the compassion release statute. They didn't have a medical issue, maybe they didn't rehabilitate enough. Whatever the case, I filed based on medical rehabilitation and an intervening change in law, and my judge granted it. So today, December the 7th, 2021, it's now my 4th wedding anniversary. It's our first wedding anniversary home. It's our first wedding anniversary together. Today, I had flowers delivered to her work. She made me this awesome little video. And right now, my wife is sitting in bed. Say hi.
Hi.
Waiting for me to come to bed. Just a little after 10. All right, you guys, take care. Yeah, it's been awesome. It's freaking surreal that I got married in prison with a life sentence, and now here I am today. Take care.